Today is about making sure that Sunday wasn't a false dawn. Today is about making sure that this is the beginning of the season, the real beginning of the season. Guys, it's match day. It's Rangers travelling to Edinburgh to take on Hibs. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James. This is your Rangers matchday news update as we prepare to take on Hibernian tonight at Easter Road. Guys, it is going to be a chance for Rangers to show that Sunday's result was not a false dawn. That Sunday's result was not just a one-off, and it was not the Ibrox factor that contributed to that victory over Kilmarnock on Sunday. That it is the start of a new era under Danny Rule. Now, look, I'm not pretending that everything is perfect, that everything is fixed. And if you want to obviously pick up what I'm on about, there was a video I released yesterday, Rangers Need Rule Therapy, which talks about how Danny Rule has changed tactically and needs to change the mindset of the players tactically. So I'm not going to talk too much about that on this video, but if you want to kind of figure out what I'm talking about mindset and tactical mindset and the way they play the game, go back and watch yesterday's video. Right, look, today's game is pretty massive. You know, Hibernian are riding high in the table. They're third. Yes, the last time we played them was obviously a League Cup tie, quarter-final. We beat them 2-0, and that was when Russell Martin was the manager. I have to say I wasn't massively impressed with Hibernian that day at all. They weren't particularly threatening. They weren't particularly a good team. Yes, they did score. That goal was disallowed, but look, I think at the end of the day, this is a game that we should be looking at winning. This is a game that we need to be winning. You know, Rangers should not be going anywhere and fearing a negative result. They should be going everywhere and desiring and getting a positive result. That is what is expected at this club, and I think Danny Rule is starting to get that. You know, you listen to Danny talk, and you know, his press conference the other day, he was very clear in what he wanted. He was very clear in what he expects. He's always been clear about the fact it's one game at a time. But, you know, I think he's starting to understand the expectations of this club, the expectations of the supporters as well. And that is a positive. You know, I think one of the big things that was always levelled at Philippe Clement, at Russell Martin, was that they don't get it. They don't understand what it is to be Rangers manager. And I think part of being a good Rangers manager, head coach, whatever you want to call it, is understanding what the club is about and getting what this club is about. And it is not... Look, I know down here in England, you get all the jokes and the condescending jokes about Scottish football and Celtic and Rangers. But Celtic and Rangers, and look, it pains me to talk about Celtic like that, but Celtic and Rangers are massive, massive football clubs. You know, they are huge football clubs that if they were playing in the English Premier League, I believe within 2 to 3 years, with the money of the English Premier League, would be top 4 contenders easily by the end of that period, with the supporter base we have, with the worldwide supporter franchise that we have, etc., etc. So look, I think, you know, to talk about Rangers in any sort of condescending form is ridiculous. But look, today needs to be the beginning of something new, beginning of continuing what we did on Sunday. Now, we're going to look at our opponents, Hibs. We're going to look at our team, and we're going to look ahead to tonight's game, guys. So, I mean, let's have a little look at Hibs and their recent results. So they lost the Edinburgh Derby 1-0. I mean, look, that's not a surprise. Hearts are banging form at the moment. Yeah, they are the title favourites. As weird as that may seem to say that Hearts are title favourites, they are the title favourites at this point in time. And like I've always said, and I'll say it again, if we can't win the league, I certainly hope that Hearts win the league this season. All the best to the Jambos. They then beat Livy 4-0, obviously bottom of the league. Livy at Easter Road 4-0. They then obviously had a 2-1 against Hibernian. That's in recent times. Previous to that, there was a 2-2 against Falkirk and a 0-0 with Celtic at Parkhead, which is, you know, a very, very good result. It's a mixed bag of results. You know, you look at that and it's a mixed bag of results. You know, it's 2 wins, 2 wins, 2 draws and a defeat. So yes, they've only lost 1 game, and yes, that was to Hearts, who are top of the table. So obviously, you know, that's got to be taken into account. They drew 0-0, but as we've seen, those Celtic have struggled domestically at this moment in time. You know, they lost to Dundee, they lost to Hearts, they drew with Hibs. They are not on the best run of form. They are, and I think, you know, look, as much as they may try to dress it up that they're not in trouble, that they're not a club in crisis, they are in trouble. They're not a good team this season. And, you know, as I said in response to some Celtic fans who were having a go the other day, you know, they were lucky to come away with a point against Russell Martin's Rangers at Ibrox in the first Old Firm. And let's face it, if you're lucky to come away with a point against Russell Martin's Rangers, who were dire that day, then you're not a great team. You really aren't. So, look, Hibs are in decent form. They've won one game. They've won those two games. One was against Livy, one was against Aberdeen. Obviously lower division teams. Yes, they've got a draw at Falkirk. They obviously lost to Hearts. So it's mixed form. But at Easter Road, obviously, their recent games at Easter Road, they've only played that one game at Easter Road in the last 5, which is quite remarkable, really. And that was a victory over Livingston. Looking at the table as it stands today, this is the table. They sit third at 14 points. Obviously, a Rangers victory tonight takes us above Hibernian, which would be what we need to do, a quality result. Hibs this season have won 3, drawn 5, lost 1. Very heavily drawing a lot of games, very much similar to our record to some degree. We're obviously 2-6-1, so that's the only difference is that extra draw in there for Rangers. Rangers sit 5th, obviously that's a little bit better than it has been looking of recent times. But as you can see, the only two teams they've beaten are second bottom and second bottom. The Falkirk draw, I suppose, is a decent result. Falkirk doing really well this season, and great to see Falkirk doing well this season. In terms of the danger men for Hibernian, you've got to be looking at Kieran Bowie, Martin Boyle and Josh Mulligan. They're the players who will carry the threat for Hibs tonight. Kieran Bowie, he's a good footballer. He's a decent player. He's certainly someone who is very highly rated in the Scottish game. A young footballer, 23 years old. A guy who came through the youth system with Wraith Rovers. Spent some time down in England with Fulham and Northampton Town before coming back to Hibernian last year. And he's got a really good goal-scoring record for them. He's a forward, he's a striker, he's a dangerous player, and he's certainly someone that we're going to have to keep our eye on. 25 appearances, 8 goals for them this season. A couple of goals already in the SPL this season, so a decent footballer. Martin Boyle is someone who always carries a threat against Rangers. A tricky winger, someone who often saves his best performances for the Rangers game. Yes, he is 32 years old. Yes, he is not getting any younger, but he's certainly someone who, like I said, does carry that threat, does carry that danger. He's a guy who consistently scores goals, creates goals for them. So again, a big threat. Now, Josh Mulligan, who obviously joined them from Dundee in the summer, someone who I honestly believe that Rangers should have signed in the summer. He is a very, very, very good player, Josh Mulligan. He's 22 years old. There goes the dog drinking again. Sorry, guys. He's obviously a quality player. He's a Scottish under-21 international. Can play right back, can play right wing. A very, very fine player. A very, very fine player. Certainly someone, like I said, who I think we should have been looking at. 16 appearances, 2 goals for them this season. So they're a team that do carry threat. They're a team that do carry some danger. And we're going to have to be about our game tonight to make sure that we get the 3 points. Which, this is what it's about now tonight, is getting that 3 points. It's about going to Easter Road and showing that game on Sunday was certainly no fluke. Their team that they played the other night was Salinger, Eardale, Ahara, Bushiri. Rocky Bushiri, obviously very, very good player like Rocky Bushiri. He's someone I think we should be looking at as a centre-half. Cadden, Chaiwa, Grant Hanley, Cadden, the two Cadden brothers, obviously decent players. Barlassa, Mulligan, Khadijah, Yuan, McGrath, Campbell, Bowie and Boyle. Their bench was pretty dangerous as well. So there's some good footballers in that team that they have coming into tonight's game against. The results records against Hibernian are as follows. Look, the one on the left of the screen is the overall results record against us. The one on the right is the one at Easter Road. So in 114 games, Rangers have won 74 of them. Hibs have won 21. So obviously a dominance of that fixture by us, which is to be expected, obviously, given our form. 15 draws in the game. They've scored 119 goals. We've scored 225 goals. So just under a goal a game from Rangers. Easter Road, 55 games at Easter Road. Again, Rangers with a dominant record at Easter Road as well. Which often flies in the face of what a lot of people say. You hear people talk about going to Easter Road and the fact that, it's a tricky game, it's a tough tie, it's somewhere we don't do well. Well, I beg to differ. The results appear to differ. 58% win percentage there. Hibs with only 10 wins in their 55 games. 13 draws. They've scored 65 goals. We've scored 109 goals. So just under 2 goals a game on average in that record at Easter Road. So look, it's a decent record. It's a quality it's quality. So let's hope we can continue that tonight. You know, the results in history certainly point to the fact we've got a very, very good results record against them. You know, so look, it's about continuing that tonight. It's about playing well. It's about making sure that we go forward from that result on Sunday. Now, like I said, if you go back over the recent results between these two teams at Easter Road, I mean, look, there's no point looking at it at Ibrox because obviously Ibrox carries a bit of a factor there. As we know, you know, the Ibrox factor, teams often do struggle when they come to play us, or have done in the recent past. The last time Hibs beat us at, I mean, to be honest with you, the last time Hibs beat us at Easter Road, you've got to go right back to 3-2 back in 2016, you know, as the last time they beat us. So, you know, you look over the last few records, 2025, 2-2, 3-3, a 2-0 win for Rangers in 2024, a 3-0 win for Rangers in 2024, a 3-1 in 2023, a 4-1 in 2023 as well, a 2-2 draw, but then a 1-0, a 1-0, a 2-2, a 3-0. So, you know, the results record, even if you go in the back in the last 5 games, we've won 3 of our last 5 games against them. Yes, 2 draws in the last 2 games. Rangers will obviously be seeking to put that right tonight against Hibs at Easter Road. Look, guys, like I said, I'm not pretending this is going to be easy. David Gray will have them sorted. He'll have them up for this game. He'll have them ready to go. And they'll be bang up for this. They'll want to get the win. They'll want to stay third. They'll want to keep pushing Celtic and Hearts at the top. And Rangers are still a scalp. You know, no matter what people might say about Rangers and us falling off in recent times, we are still a scalp and still a team that people want to beat. In terms of Rangers lineup tonight, look, I thought that Sunday we played better because Danny Rule was tactically flexible. He changed the shape and he went to a 3 at the back system, 2 at the top. I mean, it was kind of a 3-4-1-2 going to a 3-4-3 at times, back to a 3-5-2 when defend. I thought it was a very fluid system and it was good to see. And it showed tactical adaptability, which is not easy to say, which we didn't show under Russell Martin. And that was one of the things we were all crying out for under Russell Martin. I mean, in terms of, like I said, in terms of tonight's team, let me just find, I've got a graphic somewhere. I did have a graphic of tonight's team. I've lost it now. I'll try and find it for you in a moment. Yeah, I think, you know, in terms of tonight's lineup, I wouldn't be tempted to move too far from the team that we had against Kilmarnock on Sunday. I'd make a couple of changes, certainly a couple of changes. This is what I'd go. Let me just pull this up on screen for you. This is what I would go in tonight's game against Hibernian. This is how I would line up. I'd go with the 3 at the back again. I think that worked really, really well. I also thought it gave Tav a little bit more protection. The one thing James Tavernier is not very good at is defending, and I think we can all admit that. So I honestly believe that putting him at right side centre back gives him a little bit more freedom to go forward. So I'd go with Jack Butland in goal. I know he had that mistake on Sunday, but he did pull off some very good saves as well. And I think consistently he's been our best player this season. So the back 3 for me would stay the same. Tavernier, Suter, who I thought played well on Sunday. Cornelius, who was man of the match for me on Sunday, staying as a back 3. I think Cornelius' ability to bring the ball out from the back, to get involved in the attack was really, really useful. Midfield 4 or 5, depending on how you want to look at it. Gassama on the right side, Magoma on the left. I thought Magoma had his best game for Rangers on Sunday. Got forward very effectively, attacked, got the ball into the box brilliantly. And Gas on the right, I thought was, again, pretty decent. Got forward, created a threat. And this other formation, I think it also helps us to create overloads. It helps us to create overloads because you can look at the situation when we attack down the right. Tav, Gassama, Asgard, Danilo, whoever can pull to the right, create a 3-on-2, a 4-on-3, whatever you want to create out there. Or on the left, Cornelius comes up to support with Magoma, and Asgard out there creates a 3-on-2. So it creates those overloads that stop teams' low block being effective against Rangers. Raskin, now I would go with... Now, Diamonde had a good game on Sunday, don't get me wrong, but this being an away game at Easter Road, it will be a bit of a scrap, and we've got to win the midfield. So for me, winning the midfield, I would put Barron in there. I think he'll just fight a little bit harder. He'll scrap, he'll battle, and I think he will give us that little bit of extra bite and give Raskin a little bit more license to go forward. I thought Barron did well when he came on Sunday. You may well go with Dio still, but I just think that little bit of extra bite, fight, and scrap in there may help. And then Asgard in the 10 role. I thought Asgard was good on Sunday, played well, held the ball up well, showed some good touches, had a bit more freedom, which is, I think that helped. He had more freedom. If freedom he didn't have under Russell Martin. So Danny Rule certainly gave him that freedom. Danny up front, I think Danilo's got a start. He scored a goal. He was pretty good on Sunday. He played very well indeed. So I would be tempted to continue with Danny up front. I would start Chimiti because the guy scored. He held the ball up well. He controlled the ball. He set the play well. All things we're going to need to do to get out against Hibs tonight. And look, his confidence is probably going to be sky high. I think Miovski's been poor the last couple of games. Hasn't looked like scoring. So for me, go with Chimiti up top. That's my formation, a 3-5-1 or 3-4-1-2, sorry. That's how I would line up. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. How would you go in tonight's game against Hibs? How would you line up in tonight's match? Let me know in the chat, in the comments, please, for this video. Look, in terms of tonight's game, it's one game at a time. It's a must-win. You know, honestly is. I think the key tonight is to use the ball well, to attack aggressively, to press high, to move the ball quickly, the things we did on Sunday. Bring that tonight, and I think we can get the victory there. I honestly do. I don't think it will be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think it's going to be a walkover. I think it'll be tight. I certainly do. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Rangers tonight against Hibs at Easter Road. 2-1 victory. Danilo to get one. And I'm going to go for a winner to be scored by Raskin, thrusting through the midfield. So that's my 2 goal scorers as well. Guys, let me know your predictions for tonight's game. But it's going to be, like I said, a complete change has got to continue from, and I'm not saying everything's perfect, I'm not saying everything's fixed, but we've got to keep moving in the right direction. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've enjoyed the content, please remember, we don't charge you for content here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. All the content is free. All you've got to do is hit that sub, ring that bell, and you'll never miss out. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and share, and I will catch you on the next one.